What's up, guys? It's Crash. A really big Arena Breakout Infinite video for you guys today where they unveiled the 2025 roadmap. I went ahead and watched the video in Chinese with subtitles on, got that information, and I'm going to get it to you guys quickly and efficiently as possible with a little bit of my opinion sprinkled in. With that being said, I would love to hear your guys' opinions down below in the comments. But this is a game that I've been enjoying a ton. I've been playing it mostly every evening over on the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/crash8. I've been enjoying it a lot, and I want to get into what's coming in 2025 because it's not without its flaws, and they are addressing a fair amount of them within the next year or so, it sounds like. So let's get right into what is coming to Arena Breakout Infinite in 2025. So several new game modes are coming. I'm guessing you could get a sneak peek from that from checking out the mobile version as well, but Secure Ops is one of them, which sounds really interesting, and I'll tell you why that I think it's going to be really good. Secure Ops is where you can go in, you can play without the risk of losing your gear. Now, why I think that is good, because I was just saying the other night how I would really like to play Armory and TV Station more, but being like a fairly new player, I haven't been able to as much because you have to have higher tier gear. You have to go in and you kind of have to risk a lot to be able to learn these maps because there is no scav mode. Always when I played Tarkov, I could, whenever they came out with a new map, you could go scav there and learn the map, you know, and not risk losing a bunch of money and stuff out of your stash and stuff like that. So I think this is going to be not something I play a ton, but I can see Secure Ops being a really cool way for new players to learn maps, as well as seasoned players learning new maps, if that makes sense. Kind of a low risk way to get in and play and check out the maps. Something also really interesting is 5v5 modes are coming. They said like team deathmatch and elimination. So elimination looks kind of like just a round based one life mode. I would love to see a bomb mode. I think if anything was learned with how Tarkov Arena came out, it didn't get really good until they had a bomb mode. And the hardcore mechanics in this game with all the weapon customization and the armor and everything like that would lend itself really good to a bomb mode. So I'm hoping they're listening to that and add that in there, because I think that would play really, really well. A lot of people have been asking for a solo mode, and they sound like they have a little bit of trepidation when it comes to adding a solo mode, because they said they want to, and they're going to, as a test, collect some data and feedback and see how it changes everything. I definitely get the apprehension. I also understand, as someone who enjoys to play this solo, it is rough when you come up against a 1v4 and maybe you kill 2 or 3 of them and you're feeling pretty good, and the last one gets you. It is like, man, if I had a solo mode, I would be doing much better. So I get the need and want for that. So as a test, I think that's all we can ask for at this point, and see if it kind of fragments the player base too much or not, how queue times respond to that, and basically how it goes. The other thing we got, some new, I've already made a video on some of the sneak peeks we've seen, but Northridge is coming. It's one of the maps coming, and I'm going to talk about just a little bit later on. I hope there's more than one map or expansion or change coming in 2025. And I suspect by what was said later on, now again, we have to take a little bit of this with a grain of salt, because I'm looking at, you know, English translated closed captions from a Chinese video, so that could get, there's stuff could get lost in the sauce, if you know what I mean. But Northridge is coming, and we got some new video of it, and it looks really cool, where it's a really big map, so you can kind of play, they said you can, you know, you can kind of play more chill and relax on the outside in the more open kind of sparsely populated area, and then if you want to get into it, you can go to the main POI building in the middle. It says there's new story content and bosses coming, with some screenshots of that, as well as when I hear story content, that makes me hope and believe there's going to be new missions coming along with that. So I really like that. They want to add more dynamic mechanics to raids to make them more different and diverse and different experiences as you play them. They said they've added, you know, the weather system. We've seen that with the fog event, as well as right now is a storm event going on, which is tough to play because of thermals, but we're going to get into that really soon. So I don't know what other dynamic mechanics, because that word in there is plural. I'm hoping they add more like in-game. There's already a few of these things that pop up, like in-game missions that pop up that you can go chase and stuff like that. It would be really cool to see something like that, maybe a little bit more diverse, wide variety of objectives to take place within raid would be really cool. This happens in Delta Force with the Mandel Brick, something like that, to get some really cool cosmetics or some like in-game items would be really sweet and really up the stakes of the game quite a bit. Gameplay changes are coming. One of those that they talked about was scopes are going to be restricted within bushes. So it sounds like when you're in a bush, What it looked like on the video is that you won't be able to ADS with a scope when you're in a bush. I don't know. It said changes to scopes on the video. I don't know if that means you won't be able to ADS at all, if it'll still work with iron sights, or exactly how that will work. Then they went on to talk about how spawn points need adjusting. Totally agree. And they are going to be adjusting spawn points, extract points, player counts, and also sound accuracy. So I think that's really good. Overall, I feel like this game has like more trustworthy audio than Escape from Tarkov and some of the other games I've played, but it is not perfect. I think audio in games is seldom perfect unless we're talking maybe something like Hunt Showdown or Insurgency Sandstorm has really good audio. But they're getting there with this, and it sounds like they're going to be working on the accuracy of audio. I haven't noticed too many terrible audio issues like I have in other games, but it's getting there and they're working on it. Now, one of the big ones, thermals. We have this whole thing with thermals in the game is really kind of a weird topic to me, because people have been complaining about thermals. If you guys don't know, in this game, if you spend 1.7 million Coin, you can get goggles that you flip down that are essentially a filter. It's essentially a thermal filter that you can see the entire map with. In thermals, you can shoot at white dots and you're going to kill people. You can use scopes, and they're incredibly strong. And people, since the closed beta, have been asking for thermals to be nerfed. They were slightly nerfed, and it's been a long time coming. Frankly, I'm not sure why it took so long, but we are getting meaningful nerfs to the thermals finally, where you will not be able to aim down into scope. So it sounds like you'll still be able to with iron sights, but all the optics you will not be able to ADS. It will appear black as shown in the video. And then I mean, that's going to be great. That's going to help. Like events like the Fog Valley event was really fun unless there was a thermal. The new event right now with the storm on farm, it is different than the normal rain. It's like sheets of rain, thunder, wind, and everything. And it's interesting because it makes the gameplay different, where you can move around without those sound penalties of being able to be heard. So there's a lot of movement to be had and different kinds of gameplay. But if you get in there with a thermal, it's not fun. So that is being finally fixed. I think that update, if I understand Twitter correctly, is coming in a few days on January 7th. So that will be much welcome change to thermal scopes. It's going to be cool to see how it changes the game and open up the idea of playing different maps differently. So the other thing they're working on are friendly nades are going to do less damage, as well as stricter penalties for team damage and toxic behavior. And they're looking into how to mitigate like loot stealing and other toxic behavior. So they're working on that. They're going to be adding a lot more quality of life. And honestly, if I compare this to other extraction modes that I play, this has some of the best quality of life of any extraction shooter, and it does of any kind of hardcore extraction shooter. Stuff like auto rotate is coming. That's in Delta Force, where if you have an item that needs rotated and you move it to an area where it'll fit, it'll auto rotate for you. As well as now, if you pick up high value loot, it'll automatically put it in your secure container for you. Quality of life stuff like that. I enjoyed it and I got used to it in Delta Force, and when I popped back over to this game, I was waiting for, like, if I picked up something that was 2 or 3 squares, I was waiting for it to rotate when I moved to the edge of my backpack, and it wasn't doing it. So I'm happy to see stuff like that is coming to this game, and I'll get into a little bit why I think this is good in a minute. Revamping weapon skins to cover all attachments. So there are weapon skins in this game, and if you guys haven't seen them, they look really good. We're going to talk about the monetization in just a little bit, because that has been less than optimal when it comes to the weapon skins, which I'll get into in just a second. But how the weapon skins work now, if you don't know, is all of the attachments that are in a certain build have the skin. So if you want the skin over all the gun, you have to use those attachments. Now, what's going to happen, it sounds like, is you will get a weapon skin and it will cover that weapon system. So any kind of attachment that you add with that weapon skin applied, it will cover all different attachments. So you can use your weapon skins, and now you have ultimate flexibility in modding the weapon, which modding weapons is one of my favorite things of this game. It's really good. Then we have to talk about monetization, and this is a big one, guys. And this is where you're going to get a little crash opinion on this thing, because they're changing monetization and memberships are going to include everything. I'm assuming now this could be a little bit of a translation issue. When they say memberships, what I feel like that means is you'll be able to buy an all-in-one membership where you get the battle pass, secure container, and keychains all in one. They said memberships will have case and keychains all in one. So that's what I'm thinking. Myself personally, this is a free-to-play game. You know, Escape from Tarkov is incredibly expensive. Many people, including myself, who played a fair amount of Tarkov, who played it a lot, thought we needed the EOD, so we spent a lot of money on it. Then they had the Unheard edition, which is a ridiculous amount of money, and one of the big reasons I have not been back to Tarkov, and I have essentially in real life escaped from Tarkov, ironically enough. But in this game, they have it to where you can buy a secure container for like 30 days. So it's like $9 a month for the biggest secure container, which again is not a huge fan of me. I'm not a big fan of like subscription based stuff. However, with this game being free to play, the amount of time I put into it and I'm enjoying it, I did want to show some support, and I purchased the battle pass. I didn't buy any tier skips or anything, but I purchased the battle pass that I'm working on. It has the same thing in Delta Force where it's locked every like 10 levels a week are locked right now. And so that is going to be changed soon. They did another Q&A over on Twitter where they said they were looking at changing that and they understand it's not great. So I want to be able to purchase my battle pass and then level it up as I want to because I paid for it. So that would be good. And I think that's coming. But seeing the memberships and case and keychains all in one, if it's a reasonable price, I am all about purchasing that. So I think that will be really good. As far as monetization goes, I really wish they didn't talk about it here. I really wish they would remove the ability to buy in-game currency with money. I think that does more PR damage to this game than it's worth. And I totally get how people call this game pay to win, where you can buy it. If you play the game and you give it a chance, I don't think you will feel it. I have plenty of money. I've been able to have a ton of fun over the last month or so. My stash has weapons in it. I haven't once thought that I needed to buy Cohen, and I haven't once died to somebody where I've been like, oh, well, they bought in-game currency and killed me. Because when you level up, it's really easy to, you level up, you unlock everything right away. It's not like Tarkov where you have to get max traders to be able to afford good stuff, and you have to put a lot of time into it to get there. So there's that big gap between people starting out and people who've been playing a long time. That's not really in this game. You can get up to speed and be running good stuff really fast, and you don't have to buy in-game currency at all to unlock stuff sooner. And I feel like it's such a, it's not necessary in the game. It doesn't enhance the game at all. And it does so much reputational damage to this game that I wish they would just remove it. And I know some creators and I know a lot of people would come back to the game, because even when I'm playing this game, I can't tell you how many viewers I've had come into the stream and be like, oh, this game's still pay to win. And I have to be like, kinda, if you look at it a certain way, but I just don't notice it. I don't feel it. And I haven't paid, and I still have, you know, around a 60% extraction rate, and I'm doing fine, and I'm moving up through the ranks. And it's just not something I'm ever going to purchase. It's not something I'm ever going to show support for. But since I played the game a ton, wanted to support the devs because I felt like, you know, I put so much time into it. I went ahead and bought the battle pass, and I've been enjoying leveling up the cosmetics and going through there. And that's all fine. And that's how I chose to show support. The other thing that needs fixed badly, and it sounds like that's happening, are like melee and gun skins, and like the event skins. Right now there's some really cool operator skins in there with like some like a spec ops multicam look with like the shamog and everything. It looks really cool, but how they have it right now, it's behind loot boxes. And if you want to unlock enough loot boxes to ensure you get everything, it is over $100. It's incredibly expensive and it's predatory, and I really don't like the opportunity to purchase the chance to purchase something, right? Like, I'm paying real money for a chance to get what I want. If you go into any kind of business venture or agreement, you go to a store and you buy something, you order something off Amazon, any other kind of business transaction, you have the item, you pay for it, you write the check, baby, it's your item. You know what I'm saying? So having the ability to purchase a chance to get what you want really doesn't feel great. I think we need to leave that back in the 2000s with some of those games when loot boxes first really came onto the scene. And it sounds like they're going to have direct purchase options in the next update. With that being said, I don't know if that's going to be real money, or I would really like to see, because some people have an absolute insane amount of Cohen. I think it would be really cool if some of those cosmetics in those events could be purchased with Cohens, but it would be a lot of Cohen. Now, what this would be like is really similar to Rainbow Six Siege. Whenever they have an in-game event with new cosmetics, you can purchase with in-game currency that you buy, or excuse me, with currency that you buy or a massive amount of in-game currency, you can buy the loot boxes to get what you want. If you spend like 200 and some thousand renown, which, you know, takes almost a season to garner if you play a fair amount, you can get all the cosmetics in the game by playing the game a lot. I would like to see that here. I think there needs to be some ways for people to spend a lot of coin, because people are getting a ton of it and running, you know, tier 6 everything all the time. So I would love to see some cool ways to do that. And I'll get into another way I would like to see people be able to lose a lot of coin for really cool stuff in just a little bit. So if we could get a way to spend a bunch of coin and in-game currency to get those, as well as, you know, honestly, if there was some really cool skins that I liked and it was $5 or $10 or something, I think you would sell a lot of those, myself included. I don't mind supporting milsim, gritty, you know, looking cool skins, immersive skins, with some of my money to, you know, show support for that kind of aesthetic in a video game, because it seems to be more and more rare lately. Now I'll move on. Sorry, I get caught on monetization because I think it's really important, and I think the way it's set up right now does a lot of unnecessary damage to the game's reputation. Nerfing M61 the red 308 ammo. They basically are going to be working on it and changing it. Right now it's incredibly strong and it will 2-tap almost anything. I feel like they don't want super fast deaths that don't allow for counterplay, because it doesn't feel very good when you die to that. I totally agree, and I honestly think it's ironic that this game, feeling a little bit more hardcore, you know, everywhere around, has a little bit slower TTK generally than Delta Force, which seems odd, but I like this better because of the opportunity for counterplay. The longer drawn out extraction fights, I think, are one of the best things that I like about this. And overall with the game, you know, having those kind of drawn out fights with good positioning and comms and tactics and working together and flanking and repositioning is one of the reasons I loved Tarkov. And in this game, with the quality of life stuff and without the extra fluff, I spend way more time in raids and way more time fighting and enjoying it and playing the game, rather than, you know, working through the arduous tasks of the game itself. So I digress. More stuff to talk about. Achievements and honor systems are coming soon. I think that is really a big deal. I'm not sure exactly what it means as far as like late game stuff, but what I would love to see under this kind of subject line would be a way to optionally prestige. Delta Force is doing this when it comes to seasons. I really, really like that idea of whenever another season comes out, you can opt to wipe your character and get some really cool cosmetics or things, rewards that are, you know, permanent, that you get to show off that you made it to a certain level and then you prestige. Because like I said, a lot of people are going to be having a ton of money and kind of running out of things to do in the game. So if there was a way to wipe but get a really cool reward, that would be awesome. But that would also keep the players who don't get to play a ton also happy and doing well within the game, because they wouldn't have to wipe. You know, if they work through stuff and they only have, you know, a couple million coin in the bank and, you know, not too much in their stash, and only get to play a time or two a week, you know, a few times a month, they don't have to wipe and start from ground zero. So I really like the idea of an optional wipe to give players who have a lot of time to play and who are good at the game a chance to start over, a chance to work through the progression kind of again. And then as well as, you know, the players that don't have to if they don't want to. I really like that. So we'll have to keep an eye on what achievements and honor system means coming soon and what kind of rewards there will be. They considered gear maximums for lower tier modes. They're thinking about that as well. Now, they talked about spawn points. When I started this video and they said Northridge is coming, and I thought, man, for a whole entire year, just having one new map is kind of a little bit of a bummer to me. If you guys have followed the channel for a while, through the Battlefield days, through all this stuff, I'm a map person. I think maps are the best, most basic, great part of FPS games when it comes to live service content, because they change everything. They change how the game looks, they change how you play, they change positions. It adds new dynamics as far as, you know, how you're going to move through the map, peak angles and stuff to learn. I think it's the best kind of content in a game to have different maps. And I thought one map is a little bit of a bummer. But in this, you know, a given, let's see, you know, let's go ahead and understand the caveat that there could be errors in the translation. They said future map expansions and new maps, plural, will have more diverse spawn points and weather systems have been implemented. We've seen some of the weather systems in the events, but diverse spawn points is good to make raids more dynamic and feel fresh and new and different, to where you never know when stuff's going to pop up. But They said future map expansions. So not only will there be a Northridge map, but maps are going to get expanded, as well as new maps, plural, was said. So hopefully Northridge is the one coming in the next season, with more to follow, and more map expansions would be absolutely great. And they said towards the end, and this kind of sums up the game for me, and I think I'm going to use this when someone asks me why I like it. They said they want to continue to pursue a game that has hardcore realism with rich quality of life features. And overall, if you said, Crash, why do you like this game so much right now? I have to say, because it has hardcore realism and rich quality of life features. One of my favorite things about Tarkov and other extraction shooters are like the impromptu emerging PvP gunfights. And this has a ton of quality of life stuff with more to come down the pipeline, that you spend more time in the game and you spend more time fighting, and you spend, let's say this, you spend more time fighting people in the game than you do fighting the game mechanics themselves, right? So like, you're not working around bugs, you're not working around things you don't want to do, and arduous tasks that you don't want to deal with. You're playing the game and you're fighting, and it's just a lot of fun and a lot of good PvP. So that's basically sums up everything they said. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I wanted to get you guys the information with a little bit of my opinion in there to spark some conversation down in the comments, what you guys think with the game. If you made it to the end of the video, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate it so much. Consider subscribing for extraction shooter content, news, updates, and videos when it comes to that. You guys are a blessing to me and my family for watching and supporting the channel. Thank you so much, and I'd love to see you next time.